asking, okay, what is endometriosis? So I'm going to read the scientific version. I don't know it by heart. I can tell you like the symptoms, stuff like that, but let me read the real scientific version. So endometriosis is a disorder in which tissues similar to the tissue that forms the lining of a uterus grows outside of your uterine cavity. The lining of a uterus is called the endometrium. Endometriosis occurs when endometrial tissue grows on your ovaries, bowel, and tissues lining your pelvis. Some other things I read about endometriosis is that it's like women who are basically producing extra estrogen in their body, which is basically not good, which then leads to very painful periods, extremely painful periods, possible vomiting, bloating, large blood clots, things of that nature. And that's something that I've dealt with along with some other things that we can get into later. But my story basically dates back to 4th grade. That's when I got my first menstrual cycle. Didn't really know what was going on until I asked my mom. I was kind of confused. Grade I got it, about 10 years old, first of my friends to get it. And then like 5th grade, 6th grade, my period started getting heavier, very, very heavy. I remember one year we went down to a beach house for Thanksgiving with our family, and I remember lying on my mom's lap in so much pain because I was bleeding so much. Like my periods were very heavy at a very young age. I remember being in middle school and carrying around like bags of Advil because I was popping like 20 a day. I know that's not healthy at all, but it was like my body was numb to it because I literally took so much and none of it didn't really help. And I remember actually my history teacher at the time called me a drug dealer because I was carrying around these Advil. I wish, I don't know if I told my parents, wish I did, but looking back on it, yeah, it's horrible. It's very horrible. But yeah, but it's because he didn't understand. Like I was in a lot of pain, even in middle school and high school too. In college, I remember having to like not go to my dance classes or different classes because I was in so much pain. So I would literally take off the day or 2 days because I was bedridden, and it didn't really get any better. And so I remember 2015 going to dinner with some of my friends, and I remember I literally threw up at the table. I don't think my period started, or maybe it started, but I remember throwing up and I was just like, what is going on? I remember feeling like these dull pains in my stomach, and I went home and the pains became sharper and sharper. And so I was just like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on, like what's happening. And so kind of just like didn't really think much about it after the pain stopped. But then the next month, I remember my period, the first or 2 days was just excruciating. And like, I was just like, what's going on? Like, this doesn't seem normal, but maybe, I don't know, again, like maybe other women experience this. So I didn't really feed into it. But then as the months went by in 2016, the days and days, like basically on my period, first day I was bedridden. The next month it'd be 2 days I was bedridden. The next month, 3 days I was bedridden. So at the time I was studying for my CPA, and I would literally have to block off a week because I was bedridden the whole week. Like I could barely eat, I could barely sleep. So like the first 3 days are probably the worst for me in my cycle. Heavy bleeding. I would go through like probably 2 packs of pads, constantly dousing Advil, wasn't doing anything until really the 4th day. Could barely eat because I was throwing up all the time. Didn't sleep because I was in so much pain. I would literally I could see the contractions or like the cramps in my stomach. I could look down at my stomach, I could see the movement because it was just excruciating. And I know that sometimes I've read like different blogs and different comments under these type of videos. People say, oh, the pain's not that bad. It's excruciating. I remember going to the hospital and them saying like, you have experienced contractions of a pregnant woman. And so, yeah, so I was just kind of just like, what is going on? So during that time of 2016 to 2017, I would go like to the hospital here and there because the pain was just so much. And they would give me, more high potent medicine to ease the pain. But that really wasn't addressing the root issue, what was going on. So then basically the end of 2017, I believe I went to my OBGYN and she checked me out. And basically she was just like, yeah, I see there's some stuff going on inside of you, and you actually probably have ovarian cyst, fibroids, possibly there might be some other things going on. So I want to send you to go get some scans. So went to get some scans, MRI, some other stuff, like different procedures I had to do. Basically, they were just like, yeah, you have endometriosis, adenomyosis, fibroids, and ovarian cyst. So what is all that? Again, let me go to... So adenomyosis is a condition in which the inner lining of the uterus breaks through the muscle wall of the uterus. Endometriosis can cause menstrual cramps, lower abdominal pressure, bloating before menstrual periods, and can cause heavy periods. Fibroids are abnormal growths that develop in or on a woman's uterus. Sometimes the tumors become quite large and cause severe abdominal pain and heavy periods. In other cases, they cause no signs and symptoms at all. The growths are typically benign or non-cancerous, and then ovarian cysts are solid or fluid-filled sac or pockets within or on the surface of an ovary. So I had all those things going on with me, and so went back to the OB/GYN. So basically, she directed me to some specialist to see like if surgery was a possibility, if that's the route I should go down, or just leave them alone, things of that nature. And so we went to the first doctor, actually in 2016. I'm sorry, I'm missing my story. In 2016, because I was starting my full-time job. The first day before I went to my first day of starting my full-time career, super excited. We went to this doctor, and we get there, and it was so it was just no hope. Basically, that was the vibe of the meeting. No hope. She was very, very cold, very cutthroat. I don't know if she just had a bad day or just, I don't know. But I remember her saying all the things that I had, all those conditions that I had. And I remember her saying, like, there's no possible way you can have children. And at that point, I kind of just shut down. I wasn't really hearing anything at that point. Everything kind of went black, kind of. And it was kind of like Charlie Brown, like, wah, 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 that teacher. That's kind of how it was. Like, everything she was saying was very muffled. Like, I was just kind of shut down, kind of just like, dang, I can never have children one day. Like, that's crazy. And so I was trying to be strong for my parents. So I didn't want to cry in front of them. I'm not saying crying is wrong, but at the moment I was just like, I gotta be strong for them. So went to the car, and my mom turned around and she looked at me and she said, what report are we going to believe? And that's something my mom has said throughout my life. It's a verse in the Bible. And I said to her, I looked at her and I said, we're going to believe the report of the Lord. And my mom randomly flipped open her Bible, and it landed on a passage in Isaiah. I can't remember if it's Isaiah. It's in the 50s, Isaiah 55 maybe, or 56. But basically talks about how God is the God who opens wombs and closes wombs. He is the one who gives children. And I don't think that's by coincidence. I think in that moment, the Lord was showing us that, like, to be strong, to have faith in him, to believe on that promise, that he is the one who does these things, not man. And so at that moment I was like, okay, like, we can do this. Like, even though I was still had a lot of questions, a lot of things racing through my mind, that verse gave me hope. And again, I don't think that was by chance. And so before my parents dropped me off at the metro, my mom ran into the store, and my dad turned around at me and said, he basically shared a story with me that I kind of heard my whole life except this part. So there was complications with my birth. So rewind. My parents didn't know they were pregnant with me. They went to a church service one night, and the thousands of people, and the pastor called my parents out and said, you're pregnant, and just speaking all these things about who I was to be and all that kind of stuff. And sure enough, they went to the next day to the doctor, and they're pregnant. So later on, maybe 4 months down the road, 6 months down the road, they got into an accident, which caused my mom to go into premature labor. So they were trying to keep me in, basically, but there's just a lot of complications. My mom had to go through a lot to keep me in, like a lot of needles, lots of just horrible things to keep me in. She had to sleep on a couch or on a chair for like about 4 months just to keep me in. She moved a little bit, I would come out. And so they were in the doctors in the hospital with me when all this happened, and the doctor came out to my dad and basically said, we just want you to prepare for death. Basically, like, your daughter is probably gonna die, possibly your wife. And my dad looked at the doctor and said, absolutely not. Like, we're gonna believe the Lord, regardless of like what you're saying. We understand that you're the doctor and stuff like that, but we're gonna believe the promises and stand the promises of the Lord. And so my dad looked at me when I was in the car and basically said, it's your turn. It's your turn to have faith in God. It's your turn to believe in what his word says. And it's not by chance that you're here. You were born for a reason. And like the fact that you went through all that with your birth, you're destined for great things. And so it's your turn to have faith. And so I took that to heart. I was definitely, still very fragile. Dropped me off the metro, I was crying the whole way, just like, what is going on? Like, how is this happening, And so first day of work, I was excited to be there, so grateful for the opportunity to start my career, but also part of me was faking it because I just wanted to go home and cry and just be left alone and not have to fake smile in front of everyone. So time passed, kind of was like still looking for different doctors, different physicians to get second opinions, third opinions, fourth opinions. Went to two other doctors. They were kind of saying the same thing, that they would have to remove my ovaries entirely, wouldn't be able to have children. So we're kind of just like, yeah, no, like I definitely want the opportunity to have children one day if that's something I want. So like I don't want that to be taken away from me just because what's going on. And so we finally, long story short, some stuff happened in between. Had to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room actually, because all of a sudden this was like, I had a period and like the pains were excruciating. Like I literally started screaming because I was in so much pain. My parents rushed me to the hospital, just in so much pain. I remember getting to the hospital and just asking to see a doctor like ASAP. So I was just, wow. I remember blacking out. Like that's the first time I ever blacked out. I was sitting in the wheelchair. First of all, I was freezing, but I was sitting in the wheelchair and my head was in my knees. I remember just blacking out, like everything just kind of went like silent in a sense. And I remember thinking to myself, like, God, like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. It would almost be better just take me out, take me to heaven, because I don't know if I can do this. I was just over it. Like, and on the flip side, I was also getting sad because I was like, dang, like I'm going to miss my friends, my family. And I know that I have so much to do on this earth, and I don't want how I was born and all the things my parents went through to be in vain. Like there has to be a reason why I'm here. So I was battling those thoughts and just going kind of in and out of consciousness because it was just, the pain was just took over certain points. It was just a lot. So finally I got seen, and of course the doctor said everything I already knew, everything that's going on within me. They basically said we have to operate ASAP. My parents were like, no, because they were saying like they're going to take out my ovaries and stuff like that, or yeah, give me a hysterectomy. And my parents were like, absolutely not. So left the doctors. They gave me some medicine that kept things at bay, but the medicine only did so much. Like it wasn't addressing the root issue, which based on my study and just different things I've looked at, it's really inflammation. And so the medicine was only doing so much. It really only could do so much. So fast forward, went to go see some other doctors saying the same thing. Like I said, then finally the surgeon that we finally settled on, so thankful for his life. Oh my gosh, just the vibe was just different. He was excited, he was happy he came in. I was like, wow, this is a different, change of pace, because I'm used to doom and gloom and used to basically not ever have children, like gonna take out your ovaries, you're only 23 or 22 at this time, but good luck kind of. But this guy, Dr. Barter, so thankful for his life, so thankful. We referred to him, excellent surgeon. We told him what was going on, my goals, my parents talked, what I wanted out of this. He's like, yeah, we can do it. Like, basically he was just like, have hope, like we can do this. He shared his testimony of how, why he is the way why he is in the profession that he is. His mother actually had endometriosis. There's different levels of endometriosis. There's like, I think stage 1 to 5. I think I had like 4 or 3. But his mom actually had 5. She was born in like 1920. So back then they really didn't have any, you know, as much technological scientific advancements as they do now. So I can only imagine. But basically he said, yeah, she had that. It was 10 times worse. And she only had this much of her ovaries left, and she was able to have 6 children, him being one of them. So for him, he's able to help other women, you know, be able to still have children and things of that nature because of everything his mom went through. And he basically was just like, have hope, like, I'm not going to take out any of your ovaries, like, we're going to preserve as much as we can. We're going to take everything out to basically give your body the best chance to reset, to restart over, basically have a fresh body, a new body, basically. And like, from that conversation, I was just so thankful because someone finally heard me, someone finally understood my goals and just shared the same faith that I did, and like just had hope. And that's what I wanted. I wanted hope. I wanted to be like, okay, we can get through this, you know? And so thankful for him. So just some tests, lots of different tests I have to go through to get to the day of surgery. Had surgery. We were able to, he allowed us to pray with him. We prayed with him, and the surgery lasted about 4 to 5 hours. After the surgery, a lot of miracles. Really, the whole process was really a miracle. For one, like, there weren't any beds available at all for me. I was in a bed actually after the surgery, obviously, but there were no rooms ready for me. And so, but literally 30 minutes later, a room randomly opened up, and even the nurses were like, yeah, like, this never happens. Usually patients have to wait a while, but we have one ready for you. And there's the room that I got was actually facing, or you could see like the cross. And I think that was just another reassurance from the Lord that, you know, he was with me and that he already healed me. And then all I had to do was have faith and trust him. And so the nurses had the best nurses. Like, I was even contemplating, like, during that process, like, dang, like, I wish I had gone to school for like nursing or something, because I would just love to help other women who are going through what I've been going through, and just give them hope. And that's kind of what I received. And so I was so, like, just thankful for all the doctors and nurses. I remember waking up the day after my surgery. I was just so out of it. I haven't eaten. I started throwing up all over the place. There were like 6 doctors in front of me. Like, I remember just like passing out and just like, I couldn't, everything was like blurry. Like, but they were all there to help me. I had to actually relearn how to walk. Like, didn't know that was a thing. So like, I would take like 2-minute walks, 3-minute walks, 5-minute walks, build my stamina up, because I had to reteach myself how to walk. And it was tiring on my body to walk. Even to use the bathroom was hard. It was a challenge. Thankful for my family that, you know, stayed with me, helped me, and like my friends that came to visit and stuff like that. So they said it would take about a month to recover. It took me about 2 weeks to recover. So they were all like, when I went back to the doctor, they were like, wow, like, only took you 2 weeks. Like, it was just a miracle from start to end. Really, the whole story is really a miracle. And so after the surgery, went to follow up with Dr. Barter, and like, he gave me some options of what I could do. So I could either do birth control, Lupron, or Orlissa. We opted against Orlissa because at the time the medicine had just come out, and it was the one thing we were kind of just like, we don't know about, is because they were saying like it could decay your bone density or something like that. And so we were kind of just like, yeah, I don't know. I know they re-advanced it or done stuff to tweak it, so I don't think it was as bad as it was a couple years ago, but we just opted against it. We just felt like it wasn't, you know, good enough it wasn't good for me at the moment. And then the Lupron, I think that sends you into like early menopause or something like that. So we're like, absolutely not. And that's something I would have to take for the rest of my life. So we're just like, yeah, no. So then we just decided to do the birth control, which was a good option for me at the time. Basically, he wanted me to do it because it like would keep things at bay, basically, like after the surgery, so they would prevent like scar tissue and like clots and things of that nature, to keep things from just exploding all over again. So I started with like a lower dosage. I wasn't really helping as much, so we moved up to higher dosage, and it was great. And so since I've been taking it, I actually stopped taking it about a month ago. And I just felt like internally, I just felt like it was time for me to stop taking it. I know everyone's bodies are different, but for me, I just felt like it was time to stop and give my body a break, because I've been taking it for about 2.5 years now. So I just wanted to give myself a break and just see what would happen. And since then, it's been great. No problems. I never really had any side effects. I know that some people have a lot of weird, horrible side effects of birth control. I never had those experiences. For me, I always, read what people say about the birth control, stuff like that, but I never take on anyone else's experience. I always prayed over my experience. I mean, not experience. I always prayed over my birth control. Every time I took it, I always prayed that I wouldn't experience any side effects, and I didn't. And so, yeah, so I stopped taking it about a month ago, and also changed my diet. Literally had my period a month ago, and best period I ever had in my life, ever. Like, I think changing my diet was like 95% of the reason why I had the best period of my life. Like, no throwing up, no blood clots. Even when I was on my birth control, I started having really big blood clots, like this big, like kind of big. And I really contributed to the way I was eating, because I noticed that I was eating red meat and stuff like that, my clots would be huge. When I was eating dairy, I'd get nauseous. So then when I cut those things out, symptoms gone, like immediately. Like my next period, it would change it significantly. And so I started cutting out things here and there, little by little. My body adjusted, and like best period I ever had in my life. Like, oh my gosh, I wish I had known what I know now about the different foods I was putting in my body that was affecting me. It's just like I'm so in tune with my body now. Like, for instance, like if I eat something, my body immediately tells me yay or nay. Like it's no in between. It's like very hot or cold. So yeah, so I'm still on this journey. I have a doctor's appointment, I think later this month, just to make sure everything's good. I know everything's good. I believe everything's good. I've been feeling great, feeling hopeful, excited about the future, knowing that, wow, like I can have a period. And I basically didn't even bleed. Like I went through 2 pads at most, which is never happened in my life. No nausea. No, I didn't have to be, I wasn't better, and I moved around the whole day. Like it was like a normal day. Like I've never experienced this in my life. So yeah, I'm excited. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Like some lessons that I've learned, like especially through this process, is to have an anchor, whatever that anchor is for you. For me, it's God, it's the Lord, it's what He's promised in His Word towards me. So holding on to different scriptures, having a good support group around you, whether that be your family or friends or whoever, who can hold your hand through this process, because it can be like a very lonely disease, like cancer. Like I said before, like you can physically see cancer sometimes, but this one, it's very internal, and so you don't know what someone's going through. They could be out shopping, but you don't know that they're in pain, excruciating pain. You know what I'm saying? So like it can be very lonely at times, but knowing that, for me, it's like knowing that God was with me is what kept me going, as well as being patient with yourself, being patient with the journey, being patient with even if you're changing your diet, being patient with yourself and giving yourself grace. If you mess up, if you eat something, you indulge yourself, that's okay. Just do better the next time. Being gracious with yourself is very important. And I wish I'd known all that I know now about like nutrition, because I definitely would have tried to do like the natural path before I went to surgery. If I had known all that I know now, I most definitely would have done the natural route. Like I've watched so many videos of women who have had what I had, and they healed themselves naturally through eating lots of vegetables and fruits and whole grains, things of that nature, and never had to get surgery or be on birth control, Lupron or Orlissa and things of that nature. So yeah, I'm just excited to spread awareness about this, and like just encourage women to know that people say there is no cure, but I believe the cure is eating healthy and relieving yourself of different stresses, of having different anchors in your life. And I'll talk about some of that stuff in another video possibly, but just want you to know that there's hope, and that I'm definitely praying for all those women out there who are experiencing or have experienced what I have, because I understand it completely. I understand what you're going through. You're not alone. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was encouraging to any women to see my testimony and see that, you know, life is good on the other side, and that it's possible. And that, yeah, I'm praying for everyone. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely going to make some more throughout this month, since it is Endometriosis Awareness Month, just to talk about like do's and don'ts, what I've done that's worked for me and stuff like that. So if this is helpful, comment section below, whatever they say. Just want to have a conversation with you guys of your journey, what you've done, what's helped, what's going on, what's not working, any advice for me, or any questions you might have. I might know the answer. I've done lots of research. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a nutritionist or something like that, but I've seen what works for me, and so maybe I could, you know, help you in any way that I can. I definitely will. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys later in another video. Bye.